how money changes people, how money changes you. Now, you don't have to be a multi-millionaire to really understand this, because just imagine when you start working, you are probably earning like 2,000-3,000 a month, and then fast forward a few years, you could be earning twice as that, you could be earning 3 times as that, or even 10 times. So how does money really changes people, especially you? That's what we are going to talk about in this video. In the sense that why this is important for you is that I've advised most of my clients who are in the T20 category as an independent financial advisor, and over the years, I have changed when it comes to money, and also after having money, I have seen the changes that that my clients go through over the entire year. So I think this is very important for you, because indirectly it also shows you and it teaches you how the rich people really think. So number one, you won't really want to do any risky sports anymore, especially if you are married, you have your financial dependence and you have family, you have kids. Now I'm talking about risky sports like motorcycling, car racing, bungee jumping, skydiving, scuba diving. We just look at like Michael Schumacher, right? Of course he's a sportsman that is in a Formula 1 racing, you earn a lot, but then again, life doesn't really mean anything if you're lying in the bed in a coma. And to a certain extent, it's impossible, it's very foolish if you were to actually do drugs, or even still continue smoking, and you might even actually reduce or even eliminate alcohol consumption from your diet, because when you have enough money, now this number is relative, it's different from one person to another, but if you imagine, if you have enough money, asset, net worth to live the life that you want, you have a bright future ahead of you. So the only limiting factor here is the time and health that you have, because you know that you're worth a lot more, and in order to enjoy that wealth, you must be alive and kicking. Furthermore, a lot of my clients in the T20 category tell me that they have concern they might actually drop that tomorrow, and then they just don't get to enjoy the money or the wealth they had accumulated. And and they are very, very concerned, like, if that is so, then I basically lose my ability. Why am I working so hard for the entire years if I'm not able to enjoy the fruits of my labor? And more so, they are very afraid, like, how my wealth is going to go, where is it going to go, right? And then I see those people driving like Mercedes, Lamborghini, Porsche on the highway or freeway, and I just thought, like, they're just plain stupid, or really they are not really that rich anyway, because if you are rich, you wouldn't actually risk your life knowing that you are worth a lot more. Especially, there's a joke aside, but it's true that for a lot of people with 1 million, 7 figure, 8 figures of life insurance, you know that you are worth a lot more when you actually die. So in conclusion, you value your life a lot more, and that is just how the rich people think and act. Number two, the other thing that you really see financially secure or rich people do is that they don't intentionally flaunt their wealth. Of course, you see them being covered in media, they are like in the private jets and all that, but most of the time that is just because they find it's more convenient and more time efficient to take a charter flight instead of go for an economy class. That is because they really have no intention to flaunt their wealth. They don't have anything to prove to anyone anymore. You are actually confident and secure. You quit playing the status game, the fancy goods and all the materialism. I mean, sure, driving a car versus riding a bike, there's a huge difference in terms of safety. But when it comes to like wearing clothes like Uniqlo versus Louis Vuitton, Uniqlo clothes like just I'm wearing over here. Now, is there really a big kind of gap or difference in terms of the functionality and the comfort? Wearing an LV clothes or bag doesn't give you 100 times more functionality or quality or comfort compared if you were just to use some bags, which is like classless, right? Like something from Uniqlo. In other words, you are looking for quality and practicality. You realize how pointless it is to buy things that you find it painful to afford just to impress people you don't like or don't even know. Expensive things, again, come with expensive upkeep. Imagine if you own a sports car, a Ferrari. You can't just bring it to any service center, your neighborhood mechanic, and hope that they know how to fix it without further actually damaging it. And then you have to go to authorized dealer or service center, and it is a pain. You want to arrange a time, book an appointment, bring your car to that. Now, if you are paying someone to do that, to service your car, because that is the only place they are authorized to service the car on a regular basis. Now, the price that you pay for a car is really not the price of the car. Now, how about the time taken to actually be waiting for your car to get serviced, or the time that is wasted when you actually bring your car to the service center? The other analogy is, if you were to actually go to a very popular restaurant, right? You drive 30 minutes there, and then you spend another 30 minutes finding a parking plus waiting in the queue, and then you then spend 1 hour at the restaurant, and then you come back from the restaurant to your home, another 30 minutes or 1 hour. Now, the cost of this activity is not really the bill of the restaurant. You just pay probably 100 or 200. It is basically your time. The cost is your time. You are basically taking a time off doing this non-productive and non-income generating activity, and that is a huge concern. And this is why rich people, if they really have the time to actually pay someone to actually do some of those repetitive or non-value added, non-income generating activity stuff. They actually do it because this something like this, it can be solved using money. Now you might feel that, oh, Leo, this sounds like very atas, it's not applicable for me. Now think of the last time when you took a Grab, right? Now why don't you took the public transport like the bus, right? A Grab, it costs like 10 times more. If you took a Grab rather than you took a public transport, but you still take it because it's more convenient. How about calling for food delivery? So the thing is, you don't really have to be like a multi-millionaire to actually use money to pay some for the time that you save. After all, some things really don't change, right? Like if you and I plus a multi-billionaire were to go to McDonald's, of course our earning ability could be like 100 times more in terms of difference, right? We are going to get the same Big Mac. If you go to a popular Japanese restaurant, well, we are going to get the same sushi. Even though if you go to a Michelin star restaurant, likely if you're watching this, I think you can afford it as well. It's just that it is a bit painful to actually spend that kind of money. For example, if you just pay like 1,000 for a meal, I'm sure you're able to pay that. Now for a billionaire, that is like a spare change. But you know, for you or for me, it would be like, oh yeah, it's kind of expensive, but still we can afford it, and we are really getting the same kind of quality of meal from the famous Japanese restaurant. For me, I have nothing to prove anymore. So when I see other people, buy those expensive things to still play the so-called social status game, it just looks cheap to me. Are you unsure how much longer you should hold on to your worst performing real estate investment property, or whether you'll be better off selling it as soon as possible? You get tired of attending property investment seminar by property gurus who are still trying to convince you property investment is still as easy and profitable as 5 years or 10 years ago. Well, they might be right, or they might have their own agenda for saying so. Want a non-biased second opinion? I'm conducting an online web class this week to answer this burning question. You are also going to discover if your property is at risk of not able to increase your tenant's rental in the future. If you feel you are going to benefit from these out-of-the-box insider insights, click on the link in the description below after you finish watching this video, and it will bring you to a page that looks like this. No credit card required, but availability is limited. We get filled very fast. Seats are reserved on a first-come, first-served basis. Number 3. Having money also changes you in how you react or respond to things that happens around you. You see, one of the things I realized, when you do already reach a certain level, you actually complain less on your surroundings, and that could be very surprising, because here's the thing: you take ownership of your life more, and you actually blame less of the factors or the people or the events that you cannot control. Example, if something that can be changed or can be solved using money, you can just pay someone to do it. Now deliver your food, wash your car, do something that you don't like to do, like housework and things like that. See, you can afford it. All this you can afford it even though you are not a millionaire. You cannot use money to buy more time, but you can definitely buy someone else's time to do something that you don't like to do. The irony is, when it comes to the real asset, for example, health, you can pay the doctor and the hospital to give you the best treatment in the world, but ironically you cannot buy health. Less negativity, more accountability, less blaming the government, politicians, or anything that happens out there. Because really, blaming doesn't really help. And that is just how rich people think. They really couldn't care less about who is the ruling government, whether it's in Malaysia, whether it's BN or Pakatan and all that. It would be business as usual for them. It's not. If it's not, then that they just have to think of a way to manage it or adjust. Because let's face it, nobody is a tree. We are a human. Anything that we don't like or is not in our favor, we could always try to adjust. We are not a tree. See, if you are really woke financially, then you actually can see this. But if you are not, I don't blame you, because schools don't teach us financial literacy. So I bet you never think of it this way. So I hope that this sharing is useful. To thank me for that, support me by giving this lesson a like. You want more lessons like this so that you can outdo your peers and outsmart all the financial salespeople out there? Hit on subscribe, click on the notification bell as well, so you get notified when I publish more insightful lessons like this. This is Leo.